Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
All right. Hey guys, welcome back to our show. I'm your host, John Harcar, and I'm here today with Lenore Mohr. And what we're going to talk about is, besides her incredible real estate journey, talk a little bit about why, realtors need to work with investments and investors, and about a course that she put together, which is really cool. Remember, guys, at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, all real estate entrepreneurs 2 to 5x their business. We do it by providing tools and resources to help you grow that business you want to have and, in turn, live the life you want to live. So without further ado, Lenore, welcome to our show.
Thanks, John. I'm glad to be here.
Awesome. And I'm looking forward to talking more about your journey. And before we get into all that, why don't you tell our folks about you, right? How you got into real estate, a little bit about your background, and what got you here.
Great. Yeah. So it started in 2016 when I decided to become a real estate investor. And after years of being in Hollywood, I was a producer. I was at the studio system, TriStar, Columbia, Fox. So I was always used to working with big budgets and understanding how to manage projects. My dad was an architect, so it was something that I always knew I wanted to get into. And then I shifted into the nonprofit world for 3 years and really wanted to be of service. So I gave back to my community in Pennsylvania. And that was one of the most rich experiences I've ever had. But at that point, I was like, okay, what do you want to do, Lenore? And so what I really wanted to do was to get into real estate investing. So I actually invested a bunch of money. You have different paths to figure out how to do this. For me, I'm big on education, right? I'm big on mentorship, education, just diving in deep and executing. So I aligned with a company that provided those tools. And the only thing I remember hearing somebody in the room say, one of the coaches, was buy as much as you can, as fast as you can. And I was like, oh, okay.
Yep.
So after I understood the concepts of how to run numbers and how to look for deals, and I set a very clear intention,
right,
things started coming to me. Deals started coming to me. Opportunities started to come to me. And I'm a firm believer in, once we set an intention and we put it out there and we're very clear on our goal, that things come to us, opportunities come to us. So I had the first one's always the critical one, right? So the first one was a huge learning lesson.
Yeah.
You remember your first one?
Let's talk about some of those learning lessons. I think that's what folks need to hear.
Okay, so the first one, so I acquired this education. I'm in the middle of it though. I'm in the beginning of learning, but I'm learning and executing. Like, I learn and apply. So I'm like learning. I was in a room full of people, a couple hundred people. And of course I raised my hand and asked a question, because I think when you're in a room like that, you want to stand out a bit. It's not something I try to do. I just have a question, but I ask a question. I am listening to what's going on. I contribute to that question.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And from that, several people came up to me afterwards, one of them being a contractor, and he says, hey, I have all these, I have properties that I'm doing. I'm looking for the money. Can you get the money? And I was like this, yes, I can get the money, because I had taken this course.
Yes, I can do that.
Yes. You have that moment where you say to yourself, what am I going to say here? And the answer is always yes. I can figure that out. I'll find that out. And it's not like I was blind.
Mm-hmm.
I had some coaching that I could go into. So I figured out the money piece. I figured out a hard money lender. I used somebody else's W-2 income to supplement, to make sure that we had the money we needed. And then we were getting ready to come to the closing table,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't know all the closing costs that are getting added on there. Even though I'm running my numbers, I'm still learning, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, I need about $50,000 to gap this and to get us going with construction money. So I called up somebody. I was like, what am I going to do? And I thought, I remember that woman said she had money, but it was going to cost me. There's always an opportunity cost. When you don't have experience, it's going to cost you money, right? It's going to cost you time.
Sure.
It's going to cost you money. Mm-hmm. So I called her up, borrowed money from her. And she said it's going to be at 18% interest. Maybe it was 15. Felt like 18% interest, non-amortized, which means if I borrowed it for 3 months or I borrowed it for 12 months, doesn't matter. You have to pay for the whole year of amortization.
Doesn't matter.
Right, the whole year of interest. And I was like, okay. She goes, here's the deal. You're not going to make a lot of money. You might not make any money. However, you're going to have your first deal under your belt. And I was like, yeah. And that first deal, I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And so that first one, you get a little confidence. You're like, okay, I get it, right? I understand. And so from there, I bought another one. I had a sheriff's sale, and then I bought another one. And then 3, 4, 5, 6. I had 4 going at once. 2 in Pennsylvania, 2 in New Jersey. And I'm just rolling with it. And I'm hiring contractors. Oh, that one doesn't work. Oh, this one doesn't work. Wait, what do you mean I just lost money on this material or that? Like, I'm learning, right? I'm creating documents. I'm documenting my systems. I'm like, how am I doing this? How can I hone this to get better at it? How could I quit my job at some point. I was like, I can't do both, right? If I could go back and do it again, I would probably have kept my W-2 job and figured out, and I was still working 100 hours a week probably at this point, right? But I would have figured it out because I really would have liked income to come in and be steady. Because in the beginning, you're like, I'm going to make so much money. Well, yes and no.
Right.
You make some money and you
lose. Because we see on the online piece of everybody showing how great it is and the deals and how great it is until you actually get in there and you realize it takes a little bit longer. And there's a lot more involved than what everybody shows.
Absolutely. And I think one other thing I would have done differently is I would have called somebody like me now, having 40 renovations under my belt. I have 24 doors. I would call somebody like me and say, hey, I found a great deal. Would you partner with me? I don't know what that percentage is. Can we do a couple together? Because that way, now you get all my processes and systems. You see how I run a deal. You see how I manage the construction piece.
Yep.
You see how I put it into rotation and get it ready for sale. You learn so much. So I think if I would go back in time, I would have aligned with that woman that loaned me all that money and said, hey, can we do this together? Right? That's probably
sure. Show me how. Well, most people don't want to do, they're afraid to have to give up some equity or give up some money in the deal, as opposed to, well, what is this knowledge going to save me, and how much is it going to make me too, right?
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
There's a cost.
100%. I think we have that, it's that lack mentality, which don't let me forget to talk about mindset, because I'm doing all of this before I adjusted my mindset. Right. So I realized at some point, like, oh my gosh, it was a friend of mine named Chris Morales. He was one of my mentors. And the funny thing is he's a lot younger than I am, decades younger than I am. But his mindset was so strong. Think and Grow Rich, just studied it.
Yeah.
And practiced it every day. Didn't use certain words. He had a steel trap mind when it came to how he was looking at his life, how he was approaching his life. And he started saying, this is what you have to do. So all of that was happening. So I'm making money, losing money. I lost a lot of money in New Jersey because I had to fire 2 contractors, and I ended up taking over the whole job myself. Where at that point, now I'm on house number 5, maybe. We popped the top off of a ranch.
And are you in these markets?
Yes. Well, okay, I'm a backyard investor, right? I don't believe in investing in a property or a neighborhood you're not familiar with. I say that now. Back then, I invested in New Jersey, which I could drive to. It was an hour away. However, I didn't know it as well. So everything that I was learning in Pennsylvania, which was quite simple, I don't need an architect. I can do my own plans in Pennsylvania. We're not an attorney state, right? So you just need a realtor to take you through that transaction. I lost money in New Jersey because I didn't understand the process. I didn't understand how much longer it was going to take me, and all the more hoops I had to jump through, like impervious surfaces and things that nobody talks about in Pennsylvania.
Right.
So that's how I lost money in New Jersey. It was the last 2 transactions I ever did in that state, by the way. I stuck to Pennsylvania after that. So for me,
I think you said earlier. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you said earlier that.
Oh no, I was going to say earlier. I think you said you have 40 doors right now, or you've done 40 renovations. You have 24 doors. Just kind of wondering what does your business look like now? What's your operation look like now?
Great question. So in 2019, I started realizing that I was going to get a divorce. And I was like, oh my God. So I unwrapped everything, all the finances, and I separated all of our finances. And at that point, I was like, listen, you keep all your retirement funds, you keep all that. There was concern over the liabilities that we had transacted in New Jersey. So I said, I'll take on all of that. Take on all the liabilities. All I wanted, these 4 little properties that we had bought. And this friend of mine, Chris, had, sort of walked me through that process. They weren't cash flowing. They were upside down in equity. So I'm taking on liabilities and I'm taking on these 4 properties. But I knew that was part of my plan. So when I split up when I looked at my net worth, because I started running my net worth every week. I did all my assets, all my liabilities, down to the penny in every single bank account, all the, different, what is my current market value on these properties, everything, every single week. And I was like, oh my God, my net worth is minus $47,000. So I cried, right? All that work, all that time. And I was like, okay, what are you going to do about it? So I had recently got my real estate license, which I swore I'd never get. So I got my real estate license. So I started to have some income on the realtor side, right? I'm like, I will never get my real estate license. But I had all these people come to me and say, all these realtors say, can you teach me to do what you do? And I said, I'm just learning myself, but what do you mean? They're like, about investors and investment properties. How can I buy investment properties? How can I work with investors? And I was like, put that, in the back of my mind. And I started to look at, okay, all these things are coming together, right? I have Now clients from bigger pockets are calling me up and saying, hey, I heard about you in the Pennsylvania market.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
I'm looking to buy properties there. Will you be my realtor? I'm like, yeah, sure. So I started to develop processes, buyer intake forms, tenant letters, tenant communication. I started to figure out my process in order to help this for all my investors. I'm like, man, I can actually help people build long-term wealth, like change their generational trajectory from helping them build their real estate portfolio. At the same time, build my own. Right? So I started with step one, helping all the investors and creating these things and running my 4 little properties that weren't making any money, still renovating properties on the side. So I was still doing that. And then I was like, okay, so where did that take me to today? So today, all of that took me to, in 2021, I bought 11 properties because I had to. I said, how am I going to take my minus net worth? And my goal was $1 million in net worth. I was like, I feel like I could do this. And I just put my head down. My daughter was going to college. I had no money in the bank for her to go to college. I remember teaching something in a financial mastery class that I had taken 6 times, and he actually asked me to start teaching it with him and 2 other guys. And I was like, sure. And the one thing is, people, they save money for college, right? You save, let's say $250,000. So you have $250,000. Year 1, you have this much. Year 2, you have this much, and it goes down and down until you have 0. And what we taught in this financial mastery class, you have rental income and you have $5,000, $6,000 a month. Guess what? That equals the amount that you're going to need to pay for your kid for college. So at the end of college, not only left with 0, all that rental income every month goes to college, but at the end, you go back up to having rental income. And I was like, just do that. Yeah. So I did. I bought 11 properties. It took me a year to stabilize them. I had enough cash, and I paid down cash for her for her first year. And then it was just from there, it was okay. Now I have these rental properties. I looked at my net worth and I started to do the BRRRR method, right? So I would buy it, renovate it, because I learned how to renovate, because that's what I was doing. I would refinance it, and get it rented. Get it rented, get it refinanced, and then repeat. And so I actually pulled $125,000 out of one house. So I went to refinance it. Incredible. And I was like, they were like, well, there's an extra $125,000. I'm like, and that's tax-free dollars. Remember, when you renovate something and you refinance it and you pull that money out, that is tax-free dollars. That's like, bells go off in my head. I'm like, okay. So I took that. I started to continue to pay down my loan, continue to reinvest it into other properties. Like, I was on a roll that year. 1 year, I purchased all those properties. And so today, incredible. I know. Then I moved to Florida because my daughter went to college down here in Florida. And I said, okay, I took off a little bit of time from all the real estate activities. Now I'm self-managing all my properties. And I created the course that I always dreamed of, which was to teach realtors how to work with investors.
Awesome.
So, yeah. Because I feel like every investor, if they're aligned with a certified investment realtor, and that's what I created, they're going to have the same success that I started to do for my clients, right? And I watched their portfolios double and triple and quadruple because they had somebody with them as a realtor who understood the business, who understood their business, who understood their vision. Were you going to say something?
Yeah, no, 100%. And so with this course, what kind of specifics are you teaching folks as far as to be that certified investment agent?
I love it. So thank you for asking that because there's 6 modules. Module 1 is mindset. I had to get my mindset totally adjusted in order to go from minus $47,000 to $1 million in net worth. I had to create new habits. I had to look at my limiting beliefs and get raw and real and like, oh my gosh, these things are running in my head. I might as well get them out and turn them into empowering beliefs. And so I read
Yes.
I meditated every day. I did gratitude statements every day. I only in the car, I only listened to like Tony Robbins and Grant Cardone and Mel Robbins and like I so many books that I read and listened to, and I just filled my mind with such different language than I was used to hearing my whole life. So module 1 in my course
Right.
is mindset, because it all starts with mindset. And then module 2 goes into the language of investment. We have to understand what the language is. What are investors saying? What's cap rates? What's cash on cash return? What's important to you as an investor? Everybody has a different path. How can I help you to find that? And so what are your opportunities that we're going to get out of
Right.
that? I teach like how to write an offer that wins, how to write, how to present a listing, right? How to work out I have a sheet that I'll give you, and you just plug in all the numbers. You figure out what the cap rate is, what the purchase price is. Now your investor's like, oh, Mike, would you buy this property at this price? No, it's got to make sense, right? It's just numbers.
Right.
Just numbers. We put it into a mathematical equation. We come up with a purchase price. I'm like, this is it. I'd buy that property at that price. Maybe we're a little bit higher because we might negotiate a little bit, but we are in the ballpark, right? So getting real on that.
Right.
I go through, I actually hired a videographer to take me through one of my properties and point out what I look for. And I call it the walkthrough of wealth.
Oh, cool.
So you look at the exterior, how many windows, what's going on with the foundation, let's go into the basement if there's a basement, let's look at the mechanicals, let's look at the kitchen, what do we need to do, is this a rental property, is this a flip, like those are different decisions on your renovation costs. And then I go through, let's see, so I figured out that I was actually doing a plan where I had a plan for these investors that I created, and I would walk them through this plan. I didn't know I was doing it, but when I sat down for my course and analyzed it, I came up with a plan. So for example, I say to you, John, how many investment properties do you want to buy this year?
5.
5. I'm like, that's great. That's a really good number. But here's what I'm thinking. I think we should double it and say 10. Here's why. If we shoot for 10, I know you're going to hit 5. You might even hit your 10. You might hit 7 or 8. But if we shoot for it, we're going to have a different plan. We're going to have a different approach. We're going to look at it differently. We're going to look at properties a little bit differently. And we're going to figure out that financing piece and how you can do it. Are you ready for that, John? Are you ready for looking at how you can buy 10 properties this year?
Sure. Let's do it.
But it's usually one of those things where
Probably a little bit more resistance than that.
No, not really. I mean, I think I learned a long time ago that if you're going to shoot for a goal, and then you double that goal, you have a different plan. Always.
Yeah.
I'm going to call a couple more people. I'm not going to give up when I see something. I might go, oh, I think I can buy those properties. Maybe I'll just go look at one more. Maybe I'll just run some numbers on a couple more. Maybe I'll do this, just a couple more, just a little bit. Because everything that we do in life, everything that we want to achieve, and it feels sort of big, just a little bit, just a little more, just a little more. And all those little more pieces add up to something where you're like, wow. Look what I just did. Look what I just accomplished. When you look back, it's the whole gap and the gain philosophy. I'm taking strategic coach. I've had a lot of coaching. So strategic coach, Dan Sullivan teaches the gap and the gain.
Right.
You read it. And it's, we should measure backwards, right? We shouldn't measure the gap. We should measure the gain. Let's measure backwards. So all those things, I mean, we all have that imposter syndrome once in a while. We all have that, oh my gosh, I didn't hit my goal, but we did hit our goal. We just moved our goal at some point. That's what happens to a lot of us. We're like, yeah, I blew past that. I'm good. and we never celebrate. We never stop and say, "Hey, John,
Yep.
it's Lenore. Let's go out for a drink because I just hit that
Smell the
goal."
roses.
Yeah, I just hit that goal that I've been trying to hit, but it doesn't feel like it's far out anymore. It's here. And so when it doesn't feel like it's far out anymore, we have a tendency just to be like, well, I did that. So it must have been easy, right? I watched my daughter, who's 22, walk on fire at a Tony Robbins event for UPW, for Unleash the Power Within. I walked on fire like 5 times. She did it for her first time. And I came up to her, I'm like, oh my gosh, how was it? And she said, we didn't have hot coals. Our coals weren't hot. I was like, really? All the coals are like 300 or 400 degrees, and you had hot coals. You had put yourself into a state of mind that allowed you to walk across those hot coals. So well, the coals were broken because I did it. I accomplished it. It wasn't hard. It didn't burn my feet.
Right.
So therefore the coals mustn't have been hot, and I think that's how we look at life. We just think, oh, well, I achieved that. It couldn't have been that big of a deal, so I'm not even going to celebrate it. Let's blow by it.
Yeah. No, and that's a shame that we do that. If there's folks that are out on here listening and they want to get in touch with you and find out a little bit more maybe about your course, maybe they're not comfortable working with agents or investors, or they just want to pick your brain about something, how do they get in touch with you?
Yeah, that's easy. So Calendly, if anybody has ever used the Calendly app, so it's calendly.com, calendly.com/Lenore Mohr, which is my name, LENOREMOHR. So then it just pops up on my calendar. You can set up a 15-minute call, a 30-minute call. I'll talk about anything. You can also follow me on social. Just look up my name, Lenore Mohr, Instagram, Facebook. I think there's TikTok. I have a social guy. He says, shoot something and I'll throw it up there. So that's how you can get a hold of me.
Love it. Well, Lenore, I appreciate you coming out and coming on here and talking about, your journey and all the stuff you shared. It's incredible. Guys, I hope you all took notes. I know I jotted some stuff down that's really going to help, but guys, hope you enjoyed our show. Hope to see you on the next one. Lenore, thank you again for all your insight.
Thank you, John, so much for having me. I love this. I love being able to just learn something and then teach that back and share my information and my knowledge, because that's really all we're here for, right? Just to help each other out.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. All right, guys. We'll see you on the next one. Cheers.
Bye, John.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.